For a parent, it's a double nightmare. A child dead. Her brother, the prime suspect.
They made an arrest in the case, and I said, "Who is it?" And they said, "We've arrested your son."
Police interrogated Michael Crowe for 12 hours over 3 days without his parents and without a lawyer.
Once a police officer decides to do an interrogation, there's one goal only, and that is to get a confession.
But how far will police go to get that confession? And what are the rights of parents and children? .30 a.m. January 21st, 1998. In the San Diego suburb of Escondido, California, 12-year-old Stephanie Crowe is found stabbed to death in her own bedroom.
Stephanie was full of life. From the moment she woke up till she went to sleep, she was busy doing things, and she always gave 100%.
5 feet tall and brown-haired, Stephanie Crowe was a girl who loved the Spice Girls and the movie Titanic. In her spare time, she was a member of her church choir and worked as a volunteer at the Escondido Library. Now, she lies lifeless on the floor of her room, 10 feet from her bed. One of her books, a mystery novel, lies under her right foot. It's entitled The Twisted Window.
The victim was found by her grandmother after the grandmother was awakened by the alarm clock in the victim's bedroom.
When Judith Kennedy found her granddaughter lying on the bedroom floor, she yelled, awakening Stephanie's parents. Then, her dad called for help.
Hey, daughter! What's the problem? She's right on the floor. She's not breathing. There's blood all over the place. Please, oh, we gotta help her. My daughter's dead.
Police and paramedics arrive. They strain to pull Cheryl Crowe away from her daughter's body. The body appears to have suffered several stab wounds. Police determine the little girl is dead. Her family's home is now a crime scene.
And they asked me who would want to hurt her, and I said, there's no one. I wouldn't know anyone that was. She's 12 years old.
Police find no evidence that an intruder entered the home, no broken locks, windows, or doors. There are several sliding trapdoors around the house. One of them opens into the parents' bedroom, and these doors, as usual, had been left unlocked. But police don't think an intruder could have entered this way, quietly and undetected, without clattering the vertical blinds behind the door.
They pretty much herded us into the living room. They got everyone and had us sitting on the couch. Wouldn't let us really, move or nothing.
While Escondido police secure the family's house, Stephanie's parents, siblings, and grandmother are all taken to police headquarters to be questioned.
I asked them not to separate the kids. I said, to at least let them be with either Cheryl or Cheryl's mom, and they promised me that they would not separate the kids from us.
At first, detectives focus on Stephanie's father, Steve Crowe, a 35-year-old auto body painter. Is it possible that this devoted dad, nearly hysterical when he called 911, could have molested his daughter and then killed her to hide the fact? Authorities in Escondido declined to talk to us about the ongoing investigation, so we talked with Louis Scarcella, a former New York City homicide detective who once lived in Escondido.
911 callers have been convicted of murder many times. You don't want to rush in. You want to take a good look at the big picture, and certainly with regards to the mom and the dad.
Scarcella has investigated over 250 homicides, and the cases in which a child was found dead at home teach a lasting lesson.
I believe I had about 9 or 10 that fell in that category, and in every one of those murders, it was always a relative, possibly a brother, or a stepdad, someone who was in the house.
Each of us were separated in our own little rooms, and with nothing but just another policeman or cop sitting there staring at us the whole time. And we were there all day. They informed me that they were going to take pictures of us and take our clothes for evidence. And I wasn't too happy about that because they said that they were going to photograph us naked.
I take a good look at their bodies, their hands, their arms, their whole bodies, because individuals who inflict X amount of stab wounds cut themselves.
While the Crowe family is being questioned, police are also busy scouring the crime scene for clues. Pools of blood are visible at the foot of Stephanie's bed and near her door. Several hairs are found lodged in the ring on Stephanie's right hand. Investigators think these resemble those of the victim's 14-year-old brother, Michael. Police also find something more: the words "kill, kill" penciled on a windowsill. The medical examiner estimates the murder occurred sometime after 9:30 Tuesday night or early Wednesday morning. The autopsy also reveals Stephanie was stabbed 8 times.
We have not located a weapon at this time, and there's a pretty extensive search being conducted at the residence.
Back at the police station, Cheryl and Steve Crowe and their surviving children are in the midst of a 15-hour ordeal.
The cop came back in and said that they're taking the kids away from us, and they're going to put them in. They're taking them and putting them in protective custody. Well, at that point, I had enough, and I threw a fit.
The kids were crying, and they were upset, and I just said, well, it's going to be okay. These are the good guys. They're here to help us, like we've taught them their whole lives. And I just hugged them and told them we'd get them as soon as we could, and then I had to leave.
They took Michael and his little sister Shannon away from the family at the time the murder was discovered and put them in the Polinsky Center for Children, which is basically a receiving facility for abused children.
Here in Escondido, California, the specter of the JonBenet Ramsey murder 2 years before in Boulder, Colorado, still looms like an unwelcome visitor.
They kept saying to each one of us, it's not going to be another JonBenet Ramsey, it's not going to be another O.J. Simpson case.
They told us that day that we weren't under arrest and that we can leave at any time. So after they'd taken the kids away, I said, well, then let's go, because I'm through with this. This is ridiculous. So we walked downstairs to the police department, and the second we touched the glass doors to exit, they were locked. But the second we did that, there was cops coming out of the woodwork and with their guns drawn on us. And the one detective, Detective Risley, standing there with his gun pointed at my chest, yelling at us, "Get back upstairs." And I'm thinking, what is this guy? He's nuts. So we complied with him and went back upstairs.
Escondido authorities deny this confrontation took place. By 10 p.m. Wednesday, the Crowes are finally allowed to leave the station. Meanwhile, their children Shannon and Michael are being looked after at the county shelter.
Michael, first of all, here's this poor kid who's emotionally distraught because his sister was murdered. He doesn't even have the adults in his life to comfort him. Nobody endeavored to give him any therapy or anything.
And soon, detectives shift their attention from Stephanie's father to her brother Michael. In fact, since the first hours of the investigation, when detectives arrived at the murder scene, they had suspicions about the teenager, because Michael seemed much less emotionally distraught than the rest of the family. Police noticed the youngster sitting on the couch playing with a handheld video game.
I want to zero in on that kid. I would look at that very carefully, because to me as an investigator, it would mean something, yes.
Police are troubled by Michael's claim that he woke up at 4:30 that morning, went from his room to the kitchen, right past his sister's bedroom, but never saw her lying dead in the doorway. This 14-year-old now becomes the sole focus of their investigation and their prime suspect. He is brought back for further questioning.
I'm kind of thinking you know why I'm speaking to you. I guess. Okay.
But what started out as a murder mystery is about to become something else. A revealing look at the power that our justice system can bring to bear to get a confession, even from a 14-year-old.
Most citizens would find it very scary to be taken into custody at all to a police station, even if totally innocent.
And imagine that, like Michael Crowe, you are 14 years old, being questioned about the stabbing death of your younger sister without your parents or a lawyer present.
I'll tell you what, Mike, why don't you have a seat in that yellow chair over there?
Interrogation is a very unpleasant experience. It is deliberately designed to be intimidating. It is deliberately designed to make you acutely aware of the power of the state and the power of the police officers.
Confession was for centuries considered the queen of proofs. After all, what seems like more probative evidence than what a person says with his or her own lips?
My main objective is to get them to say that I pulled the trigger, that I stabbed the individual numerous times, that I strangled this individual. Sometimes we don't get that, but we get enough to put them in the soup.
I'd like to tell you what your rights are. You have a right to remain silent. You understand that? Okay.
Even though suspects don't really have to answer questions, most do.
Now, over 80% of criminal suspects do waive their Miranda rights. We all subscribe to the notion that silence equals guilt, right? That if you're innocent, if you've got nothing to hide, then you're not going to remain silent.
If you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you free of charge.
All parents ask their children to fess up when they've done something wrong. If they don't confess, then it's a sign that they're really obstinate, recalcitrant, maybe bad people.
Do you have any idea who may have wanted to harm your sister?
No.
If you had anything to do with it, would you tell me?
Yes.
Police are allowed to question a juvenile without a parent being present, as long as the child clearly understands his Miranda rights and has agreed to waive them. But if a child asks to see a parent, the police must comply with that request.
There would be no reason for your hair to be in Stephanie's room after she was found with her.
After 14 minutes of questioning Michael, Detective Clater leaves the room and his suspect alone.
I want to take a good look and see what they're doing, to observe, let them collect their thoughts, take a good look at them. It helps sometimes. It helps.
7 minutes later, Detective Clater returns and seems a lot more impatient with Michael.
We're really trying to believe what you say. We want to believe what you say. Would you have any problems with taking a truth verification exam? None at all? Do you act like there's a question?
I've told them before, I wouldn't mind.
What's the problem, Mike?
I spent all day away from my family. I couldn't see them. I feel like I'm being treated like I killed my sister. And I didn't, and it feels horrible.
Detective Clater tells Michael he's not blaming anyone and wants to believe him. Again, he leaves. And once more returns minutes later, this time with Officer Chris McDonough.
And they can, of course, use the Mutt and Jeff good cop, bad cop routine. One cop leaves the interrogation room and the other says, "Now, I'm with you on this. I don't think you're really guilty."
You know I'm a pretty good guy. You can obviously sense that. I mean, I'm not hitting you with a rubber hose, am I? Okay, and there's no...
Detective McDonough, who has a son Michael's age, devotes the next half hour trying to bond with his 14-year-old murder suspect, posing more relaxed questions about school, friends, and computer games.
I'm here to verify what you're saying, okay? We're going to work through this together, okay? Okay. I can tell you, this instrument here, okay, is what they call a computer voice stress analyzer. Now you'll appreciate this, being into computers.
This thing purports to tell the difference between the truth and a lie.
The computer voice stress analyzer is a lie detector device introduced in 1988. Its manufacturer, the National Institute for Truth Verification, claims it is almost foolproof, cheaper, and easier to use than a polygraph.
Its accuracy rate is phenomenal, okay? And that's what makes it such a great tool.
The device works on the theory that the voice emits inaudible vibrations called microtremors, which can be measured on a graph. Under stress, when a person lies, for example, their vocal muscles tighten and cause a decrease in the tremors. A truthful response tends to look like a Christmas tree. A deceitful response is more squared off. However, independent studies of the stress analyzer's accuracy do not inspire much confidence.
The result of these studies was that the reliability of the machine was less than a coin flip in determining deception.
Yet the device does give